In just 3 days, New Yorkers will head to the polls for a massive primary election to decide who will represent one of the most influential congressional districts in the nation. Early voting is already underway in the crowded New York 12 race, and the ballot is packed with some nationally recognizable names. New York Assemblyman Michael Asher, former computer scientist Alex Boros, prominent Trump critic George Conway, and of course, John F. Kennedy's grandson, Jack Schlossberg, are all running in this race. Right now, it is still a total guessing game as to who is actually leading. An Emerson College Peaks 11 poll from last month shows that some 32% of voters remain undecided. According to a Gothamist analysis of the first 4 days of early voting data across the city, turnout is down more than 50% compared to this time last year. However, the highest overall citywide turnout is in Manhattan's District 12. Which gives you a sense of how much interest there is in it. Jack Schlossberg, Democratic congressional candidate for New York's 12th district, joins us now. It's great to have you with us. Thank you so much for making time for us. So let's start with, Jack, what do you think it is about this race that has captured so much attention, why there's so much interest in it, and if you have any indication as to how you are doing in this campaign in the final, early voting has started, but in the final stretch before voting day?
We're right where we want to be. We feel really great heading into Election Day. Early voting on the ground. We've been outside of poll sites all the time on the Upper West Side, and we're liking what we're seeing. I would say this race, this district is, look, this is my hometown. This is the center of the universe. And we've got the United Nations here, Times Square, Central Park, Lincoln Center. This is a very important district for the entire country. And,
why do you think so many people are still undecided about it so close to the voting day? What do you think is still up in the air?
New Yorkers are busy. They got a lot going on. And I think that a lot of people have been tuning in the last couple of weeks, and which is another reason why we feel great.
So you're running against a pretty impressive field. You have computer scientists, tech experts, you have legislators, you have a constitutional lawyer. Mm-hmm. What in your background do you think has prepared you for this seat in Congress?
The Democratic Party's popularity has never been lower. Nobody believes in Congress's ability to function anymore. I have a documented, amazing track record and a lot of success at getting people excited about politics, getting young people excited about politics. I campaigned in every single swing state in 2024 for Vice President Harris, and I saw a generation of people that wanted to be involved in our party and political process. We just gotten there. It was too little too late. So I've been able to break through. I've been able to advocate for the party in a way that none of my opponents have been able to do. I think that's a huge asset to New York 12. This district should have somebody who can raise the profile of the issues that our district cares about. And look, I wouldn't design the world that we live in today if it were up to me, but we live in a media ecosystem, I don't have to tell you all, that's filled with polluted air. It's toxic. I know how to breathe in that environment, and that is political currency in this day and age.
So to follow up on Elise's question, it sounds like you are sort of arguing that what prepares you for this job is your record as like a social media influencer star. Is that a fair way to characterize it?
Campaign surrogate?
Well, no. I think, look, I'm a lawyer with an MBA. I spent a lifetime working on political campaigns. I worked at the State Department and volunteered for organizations throughout my entire life. I have an understanding of how politics works and how people at the highest levels of government think. So I think my experience that makes me prepared for this is the person that I am. Everybody has a unique life experience. Mine is someone who's been around politics since I was born. Social media is a part of that, but what makes me good on social media and have built a following there is an education where I know what I'm talking about when I'm speaking. So I think it's all part of the same picture. Plus, it's running a campaign that New Yorkers want. It's one that has no super PAC. That's why they call me No PAC Jack. I'm running against two candidates you referred to, each with super PACs that have received millions of dollars from Republican donors. Alex Boros, one of my opponents, his main donor is someone who is currently funding MAGA Republican candidates across the country. Michael Asher's main donor is a Republican billionaire who pioneered stop and frisk. I don't think that's popular with New Yorkers right now. We want someone who's accountable to the people who live here.
Speaking about what the voters actually care about, affordability is one of the biggest issues for voters this campaign election. I know one of your signature issues is to allow renters to deduct rent paid on their tax returns, similar to how homeowners can deduct their mortgage interest some of the time. Can you tell us how that proposal would work?
Absolutely. We have plenty of incentives in our tax code right now for home ownership. That's been part of the American dream for decades. Right now, especially for young people, the idea of owning a home is becoming less and less of a reality. So many people are renting. In New York 12, half the district is rent burdened. They're spending a third of their income on rent. Rents in Manhattan average rent is $5,000. It's never been higher. We can provide immediate relief by putting in a must-pass bill, forcing the President of the United States to decide whether he's going to keep the government open or pass Schlossberg's renters deduction, which I don't see why anyone would be against it. There's no alternative to that. Landlords like it because they're not losing money. Renters need it because they're struggling right now. So you put this, it's a small change to the tax code and one that we could actually accomplish.
Well, the counter argument would be that if you look at something like the mortgage interest deduction, it is primarily benefiting wealthier taxpayers who actually itemize on their tax returns.
I'm going to save people so much money that they'll start itemizing. You know?
Okay.
So basically, you would just make it more labor intensive for people, though, and something they might need to pay an accountant now too for that.
Yeah. Well, a lot of these things are automated. I think New Yorkers, if the cost benefit analysis is clear and they can deduct their rent, which is probably their biggest expense from their taxes, that's going to be a huge incentive and that one that we need right now.
Okay, let's shift a little to foreign policy. You worked at the State Department. I'm not sure in what
I worked on climate and environmental policy, helping to plan an oceans conference for President Obama and Secretary Kerry.
So what would you say right now is America's #1 foreign policy priority?
Having a strategy. I don't see that. We don't have a strategy right now. We're waging war based on whims. We're taking out governments across the world without any diplomatic buy-in. We're not going to the United Nations or Congress to seek approval for any of the actions that we're doing overseas. We need a real strategy for how to deal with the many conflicts that are around the world. There are 162 wars going on right now around the world. And America's got to get focused. We're currently driving all of our closest allies into the arms of our adversaries. We're strengthening China, we're strengthening Russia, and we're not really getting anything for that. So I think the most important thing is for Congress to reassert its role, which it has a big one to play in foreign policy. So I think, that's a tough question to answer since pretty much we have none right now.
Can I ask you a question about Gaza, because it has become such an important issue in this race? And if you are elected, you will have to vote on financial aid, military aid, support to Israel. You have stopped short of calling what has happened in Gaza a genocide. Is that correct? You still stand by that?
I think it's a crime without a name.
A crime without a name, but not a genocide?
I don't feel I'm particularly, as an individual, the one to determine the answer to that question. The ICJ has said it is plausible right now. I think that that's fair.
Okay, let me, if I can, show you a tweet that was put up by the Israeli National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, and he said, it's a long tweet, but part of it, he said, all of Lebanon must burn, and said, for every tear of an Israeli mother, 1,000 Lebanese mothers must weep, all of Lebanon must burn. Does that kind of rhetoric for you sound genocidal? It's not making a legal determination, but is that genocidal when he says all of Lebanon must burn?
Well, look, I'm the only candidate of the top contenders in this race who has been willing to answer questions about our relationship with Israel. I'm the only one who said that they will vote to block the bombs. I'm the only one who said that we should stop sending bulldozers to help Israel illegally occupy the West Bank. My opponents won't answer the question. Therefore, no conditions on any aid and military assistance to Israel. I do support continued funding for Iron Dome programs, which there are 600,000 Americans living in Israel right now. So the language, look, yes, of course, that is, it's hard to describe a statement like that with any kind of sanity. President Trump has threatened to annihilate entire civilizations. So I'm not sure what to make of the leadership around the world right now in the U.S. or in Israel.
You are a lawyer by training. So what do you see as on a situation that qualifies as genocide? Like what is your, using your legal training and assessing world events, your diplomatic background, what do you see as qualifying?
Well, genocide is defined by intention. And intent is a state of mind where, just like the difference between first-degree murder and second-degree murder and manslaughter, it's all about what was intended at the time. So I think you would have to have an investigation into what internally the Israeli government was saying and comparing that to other cases in which genocide has been declared. I'm not saying that this conflict, which is a religious conflict in many ways, can be boiled down to one word. I think when you use that word, you alienate a lot of people who believe that that is a statement, right or wrong on their part, that Israel shouldn't exist anymore. And I think a lot of people in the Jewish community are scared here. I'm not one who's going to ever mince my words. And look, I'm in the sweet spot. I've made everybody mad at me on both sides of this issue, so I haven't gained any political points for that. Because I think a lot about it and what I think the right answer is.
Really quickly, would you support, if you get elected, would you support a congressional inquiry into whether or not Israel committed genocide in Gaza?
I think the world needs to investigate that, probably through the UN. I would have to educate myself on what is the best body to do that, but I certainly wouldn't be against it.
Jack Schlossberg, thanks so much for your time tonight.
Thank you, Jack. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.